Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. It is a moment that we have to bring in people who know more than what we do in the national security realm. We are talking to none other than former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, former national security advisor. I mean, just someone who knows national security on every level. Former domestic policy advisor, Susan Rice. Madam Ambassador, welcome.
Good to be with you, April.
Thank you for talking to us while you're on the West Coast. I know you don't have a lot of time, but we appreciate you. We are in something called Signal Warplan Gate. So many people are trying to figure this out. Give us a synopsis of what this truly is.
April, this may be one of the most significant national security debacles and scandals of our lifetime. But let me just break down why this is so crazy. National security cabinet level officials meet regularly, or supposed to meet regularly, to discuss and deliberate on the most sensitive national security issues and make recommendations to the president. That group is called the National Security Principles Committee. I chaired that as National Security Advisor. That's cabinet level officials, Secretary of State, Defense, CIA Director, Director of National Intelligence, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, etc. The National Security Principles Committee is meant to meet in the White House Situation Room, which, as you know, is a very secure facility in the basement of the West Wing of the White House. It's so secure that you can't take your cell phones in there. You can't take your Apple Watches in there because we know that our adversaries have the ability to hack into those devices and turn them into listening devices so they could hear what's going on inside of the Situation Room.
So you're saying that these devices, like I'm on my iPhone right now, they can triangulate specifically where you are through your devices, hack them?
They can hack your devices and turn them into listening devices so that they can hear what is being said where you are. Okay? So that's why we don't take them into the Situation Room. I mention all of this to indicate how sensitive discussions are normally conducted. They're conducted in person, in a meeting, over hours in the White House Situation Room. Now, perhaps one of these members of the cabinet is traveling, or perhaps an issue arises in the middle of the night and you need to have a hurry up meeting and you can't be in the Situation Room. Every single member of the National Security Cabinet has a group of communicators, secure communicators, people, and equipment that travel with them wherever they go. Mm-hmm. And every single one of those people has in their home a secure room where they have access to classified email, classified video, classified phones. So they always have the ability, wherever they are, to be in a classified environment. And that is how we are supposed to discuss and deliberate sensitive issues. Now, this discussion instead took place as a chat, not a meeting, not a thoughtful discussion about the risks, the rewards, the benefits, the regional security implications, the diplomatic implications, the reaction from our allies, how to maintain optimal security, how to communicate about this. All of these are the sorts of things you would discuss over hours in the White House Situation Room. Instead, they're on a chat, throwing around emojis about a very serious question, which is whether or not the United States should attack the Houthi rebels, who are a terrorist organization. The discussion over the chat revealed that it was not only, sharing information about the attack plan, but it was also a discussion about the wisdom as to whether or not to proceed with the attack. So you had the vice president on the one hand saying no, and others on the other hand saying yes. So this is by definition, April, any discussion among the national security principles, particularly one that is a consideration of whether to use force against an adversary, even before you get to the details of the war plan, that's by definition classified. because, as anybody can understand, if an adversary were able to get hold of that information in
Yeah.
advance, they would be able to prepare for the attack, perhaps attack us preemptively, shoot our planes out of the air, evade the operation. So the discussion was classified. It happened over a commercial chat app that can be hacked, that is not secure to the extent that is necessary for national security deliberations. So one, they didn't have a real meeting. Two, they did it they had a classified set of conversations on an unclassified system. And three, they shared war plans, which put U.S. personnel and servicemen and women directly at risk.
So here are the things right here. That's an app that we all use. We all use Signal, you know. And when you think of government, and when you think of when you have the CIA director on, the director of national intelligence on, the vice president, Department of Defense, so many others on there, you would think it would be in secure place. You said something that it was lazy, that they could have gone into those rooms. They could have gone to the situation room. But even though it was lazy, do you think it was more lazy, or was it the fact that they didn't want the fingerprints of this through the protocols that are in place over national intelligence issues?
They're not mutually exclusive, April. You can be lazy, you can be stupid, you can be incompetent, but you can also be venal. These people may well have chosen to use Signal, and I'm sure they didn't just do it this time. They do it regularly because nobody on that chain, including people whose jobs it is to protect our national security and intelligence secrets, raised a red flag and said, why are we having a sensitive operational classified conversation over Signal? So they do this as a matter of course. And I think one reason they may do this as a matter of course is as in Project 2025, which recommended that U.S. national security and other officials use commercial applications, is so that they don't have to make them presidential records. These deliberations, by law, as in any presidential administration, have to be preserved, provided to the National Archives, and retained. To not retain these conversations is a violation of the Federal Records Act. And April, you have to wonder why they don't want to do as every prior administration has been required to do and is abided by, which is preserve presidential records.
Hmm. Well, and that's a good question. But see, and that's also why are they not doing the same things that other administrations have abided by keeping the national security clearances for prior administrations? Because in cases like this or other cases, they want to get knowledge from other administrations to be read in, and now that's gone. National security has completely changed, has it?
Well, the most stark way, April, in which it's changed is not just how they fail to conduct proper deliberations, how they recklessly and negligently treat classified information. It's that they're radically realigning the United States away from our historical traditional allies in
Yeah.
Europe, in Asia, in Canada, turning us into adversaries with our traditional allies, and getting in bed with Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping of China and Russia. This is exceedingly dangerous. It's completely in opposition to U.S. national security interests. And it is the most disturbing aspect of what they are doing from a national security point of view.
Susan, they're drilling down the White House. Let's say, I'm make it clear, the White House is drilling down on the fact, the use of Signal. Again, I say everybody uses Signal. I mean, for me and we're not holding top secret classified discussions. But are you concerned with the further drill down about this and the use in the future? Because this is giving them a pass of saying, oh, it wasn't anything. It wasn't what everyone is saying. It wasn't sources and methods, etc. It wasn't war plans. It wasn't even an attack. Are you fearful that they will continue to use this on secret conversations, top secret and classified conversations?
I am concerned. I hope that is not the case. I hope by getting busted, and the only reason they were busted is because they were stupid enough to include a journalist in the text chat. that they won't do this again. But you know, these people are think that they are impune and above the law and do whatever they want to do, regardless of whether it is putting our national security and our men and women in uniform at risk.
Mm. So at the end of the day, we are a nation that is not, our standing around the world is not where it was. And are you hearing, have you talked to anyone from other nations about their concern about the the lackluster enforcement of security around intelligence, around information that could impugn them or could reveal some of their secrets?
I haven't had that discussion with foreigners that are, foreign officials or counterparts, former counterparts. But I don't need to have that conversation,
Mm.
able to know how concerned they undoubtedly are. They got to be concerned by the recklessness and the negligence of this national security team. They've got to be concerned about how um, loose they are with the protection of classified information, which we share between and amongst allies. And they've got to be, deeply, deeply concerned about what I described earlier, which is the radical reorientation of U.S. Affinities away from our traditional allies and partners, our democratic allies who share our values, instead threatening them with invasion, whether it's Greenland, which is part of Denmark, or Canada, threatening them with and actually imposing high and costly tariffs, which will raise prices for American consumers, but also undermine the economies of our closest allies and partners, and getting us directly in bed in lockstep with Vladimir Putin, who is a dictator, who wants nothing more to see the United States weakened and diminished around the world, and with Chinese President Xi Jinping, who has the exact same ambition.
So
And
at the
who,
end of the day, go ahead, I'm sorry.
and who I was just saying, and Xi Jinping and Putin are allies.
And the reason why they're allies is because one of the reasons why they don't like people meddling in their country, in their countries.
No, April, the reason they're allies is because they're both autocratic regimes. They want to see the United States, you know, brought to its knees, and want to be able to act with impunity as they repress human rights, attack their own people, and then, in the case of Russia, um, act with aggression against neighboring countries and take by force the territory of sovereign neighboring countries.
And again, what I said, they feel that they can do these things without any other world community getting involved and telling them what to do. They don't like people telling them no, slapping their hands. I'm correct about that, right?
Sure.
Okay, Ambassador Rice, I know. This is a time when we are not going to see the answers and the results that we normally would see in Congress when someone would do something wrong. Because these are Republicans, and it's a Republicans all around, executive branch, legislative branch, and also the judicial branch. But what is your hope, as the end result to this issue with national security, the mishandling of national security on a typical phone app that everyone uses?
Well, April, first of all, I don't accept the premise that because Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, that they wouldn't take such a serious breach of national security seriously. In normal times, they absolutely would have. In normal times, we would have had by now an FBI investigation of the leak. We would have had bipartisan investigations launched in multiple committees in Congress that would go deep into how this happened. And there would be demands on a bipartisan basis to hold these officials accountable.
Yeah.
You've heard many Democratic members of Congress call for Pete Hegseth to resign or be fired, Mike Walls, and others. I think, and I think those calls in a normal course would come from both sides of the aisle. But Donald Trump has cowed the Republicans into submission.
Mm. I thank you for your time. I said 15 minutes, and I know it's been a little bit over, but do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, April, I just think people need to understand how very serious this is, what a grave damage this could do to our national security, and that we need grown-ups in these jobs behaving responsibly and conducting the most sensitive and serious business of the United States in a manner that doesn't put our men and women at risk, and that gives due consideration and careful deliberation to the most serious issues of war and peace, rather than screwing around on the chat app.
Screwing around on the chat app. And we're just over 60 days into this second term of the Trump administration. Ambassador Rice, thank you so much. Enjoy the West Coast. I thank you for always being responsive.